Living with purpose and meaning is the difference between simply existing and truly living, because most people are alive in the physical sense, but dead in spirit. They wake up each day and go through motions without fire, without vision, without direction. They do what they are told. They follow routine. They chase distractions, but deep inside they feel empty, restless and lost, because life without purpose is like a ship without a compass. It drifts, it wanders, it gets tossed around by every wave of chaos and every storm of circumstances. But the moment you decide to live with purpose, everything changes. Your eyes open, your energy ignites, your steps become sharper, your choices become clearer. Your soul wakes up and your life begins to have weight and depth and fire, because purpose is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Without it, you will always feel like something is missing, no matter how much money you earn, no matter how much pleasure you consume, no matter how much recognition you receive, because human beings are not built for shallow living. They are built to aim at something higher. They are built to pursue something that matters. They are built to sacrifice for something that lasts beyond them. And when you live in alignment with that truth, you unlock a kind of power that ordinary existence can never give you. Purpose gives you stamina when you are tired. Purpose gives you direction when you are lost. Purpose gives you courage when you are afraid. Purpose gives you patience when the journey feels endless. Purpose gives you strength when you want to quit. And purpose gives you joy. Not the cheap, shallow joy that fades after a party or a purchase, but deep, unshakable joy that comes from knowing you are living true to your calling. Now the problem is, many people say, I don't know my purpose, but that the truth is, purpose is not something you wait to magically appear. It is something you build. It is something you choose. It is something you discover through action, through trial, through failure, through reflection, and through service. You will not find it sitting on a couch waiting for lightning to strike. You will find it in movement. You will find it in effort. You will find it in searching and testing and building, because clarity comes through engagement, not passivity. And the beautiful thing is, you do not need to know the entire purpose of your life. Today, you only need to take the next step toward meaning. You only need to ask yourself, what matters to me? What gives me energy? What makes me feel alive? What am I willing to sacrifice for? What problem am I willing to fight against? What vision pulls me forward, even when it hurts? And when you begin answering those questions, you begin moving from the emptiness to direction, from distraction to focus, from noise to clarity. And once you start walking this path, you realize that purpose is not just about you. It is about contribution. It is about impact. It is about living in such a way that the world is slightly better because you were here, because real meaning is never found in selfishness. It is always found in service. You can chase pleasures for years and still feel hollow, but do one act of selfless service and suddenly you feel alive. You can chase luxury for decades and still feel restless, but spend one day building something bigger than yourself and suddenly you feel at peace, because the human soul was not designed for small aims. It was designed for greatness, and greatness is never about ego. It is about impact. It is about lifting others. It is about serving a vision that outlives you. And when you understand this, you begin to see why so many people who appear successful still feel miserable, because they confuse success with purpose. They thought money would fill the void, but money without meaning is empty. They thought fame would give them fulfillment, but fame without purpose is hollow. They thought comfort would bring them peace, but comfort without meaning only makes you restless. Because at the end of the day, what every human heart craves is not just comfort, but contribution, not just pleasure, but purpose, not just existence, but meaning. And this is why you must make the decision now to live intentionally, to stop drifting, to stop wasting, to stop numbing yourself with distractions, and instead to ask yourself, what is my life really? For what will I leave behind? What will I stand for? What will I fight for? What will I build that outlasts me? Because when you begin to live this way, something inside you transforms. You no longer dread mornings, you attack them. You no longer fear challenges, you embrace them. You no longer feel weak in storms, you stand strong because you know why you are here. And when you know why, you can bear almost anyhow. When you know your why, you can face pain, you can endure sacrifice, you can overcome setbacks, you can keep moving when others quit, because your fuel does not come from comfort, it comes from calling, and that fuel never runs dry. And here is the deeper truth: purpose does not have to be grand in the eyes of the world. It only has to be true in the depths of your heart. Your purpose may not be to change the entire planet, but it may be to raise a family and strength and love. It may be to heal People in your community, it may be to build something that serves, it may be to inspire through your craft. It may be to teach, to guide, to protect, to create, to build, to lift others, to light fires of hope where there was darkness. And none of that is small, because when it is aligned with your heart and pursued with your soul, it carries infinite meaning. And the ripple effects of that purpose go further than you will ever see, because every act of meaning touches more lives than you imagine. And the world is desperate for more people who live this way, because the world is full of people drifting, numbing, distracting, wasting, scrolling, hiding, complaining. But what it needs are people awake, alive, clear and driven by something higher, and that can be you, but only if you choose it so. Right now, decide that your life will not be wasted. Decide that your days will not be thrown away. Decide that you will not drift endlessly. Decide that you will live on purpose. And when you decide this, do not wait, act. Begin, take the first step, align your actions with your values, align your energy with your vision, align your time with your meaning, and day by day, choice by choice, sacrifice by sacrifice, you will build a life that is not only powerful but fulfilling, because you will not just be surviving. You will be living, and living with purpose is the greatest freedom, the deepest strength, and the truest joy you can ever know. When you commit to living with purpose and meaning, you begin to see the world differently. What once looked like obstacles now looks like opportunities. What once felt like burdens now feels like training. What once made you fearful now makes you focused, because purpose shifts your perspective. It takes the same circumstances but transforms how you interpret them. Without purpose, a challenge feels like punishment. With purpose, the same challenge feels like preparation. Without purpose, pain feels meaningless. With purpose, pain feels like growth. Without purpose, sacrifice feels like loss. With purpose, sacrifice feels like investment. And this shift is everything, because life will always throw storms and trials and hardships your way. But when you are anchored in meaning, you are not tossed around like a fragile leaf. You are rooted like a tree. Your roots dig deep into the soil of conviction. And no matter how fierce the winds blow, you bend, you sway, you struggle, but you do not break, because purpose keeps you grounded. And this grounding gives you a confidence that others cannot understand. They see you standing strong while they crumble. They see you rising when they fall. They see you pushing forward when they quit, and they wonder where your power comes from. But you know, it is not from luck. It is not from talent. It is not from privilege. It is from living aligned with meaning, because when your soul knows why you are here, you become unstoppable. People often say, I want to feel more motivated, but the truth is, motivation is weak. It comes and goes. It is fleeting. It depends on moods, on feelings, on hype. But purpose is different. Purpose is permanent. It does not depend on moods. It does not vanish with feelings. It does not fade after hype. Purpose is an anchor that keeps you steady, even when the waves of emotions crash against you. And when you have this anchor, you do not need shallow motivation, because you are driven from within by something far stronger. You are powered by conviction, and conviction outlasts any external push. And when you live this way, you begin to notice that you no longer envy others because you are too focused on your own path. You no longer waste time comparing because you are too consumed building. You no longer get lost in the noise because you are too tuned into your calling. You realize that envy is the symptom of a life without meaning, because when you know your purpose, you do not wish to be someone else. You are grateful to be you. And when you are grateful to be you, the energy that flows through your life is unstoppable. But here's the truth: living with purpose is not easy, because it demands discipline, it demands sacrifice, it demands that you say no to distractions, it demands that you endure seasons where you may feel lonely, because few understand your path. But it is in this difficulty that purpose proves its worth, because anything easy rarely matters, and anything that matters is rarely easy. And when you live with purpose, you accept this. You embrace this. You stop searching for the easy way, and instead you choose the meaningful way, because deep down, you know the meaningful path is the only path worth walking. And every time you stay true to it, you strengthen yourself and you inspire others, because the world is filled with people waiting for permission to live authentically, waiting for permission to pursue their calling, waiting for permission to break free. But when they see someone else living boldly with purpose, they realize they do not need permission. They realize they can do it too. Your courage becomes their spark. Example becomes their map. Your resilience becomes their encouragement. And this is the hidden beauty of living with purpose. It multiplies, it spreads, it creates ripples. You may never see, but they exist and they matter. And maybe years from now, someone will stand stronger because they once saw you refuse to give up. Maybe someone will live truer because they once saw you refuse to fake it. Maybe someone will pursue their core because they once saw you walk yours, and this ripple effect is one of the greatest impacts of a meaningful life, because meaning multiplies, and as it multiplies, the world shifts slowly but surely towards something greater. Now let us be real. Living with purpose also means facing doubts, because there will be nights where you question yourself. There will be seasons where progress feels invisible. There will be whispers telling you to quit. There will be critics mocking you for being different. There will be distractions tempting you to abandon the path. But in those moments you must remind yourself of your why. You must remember that doubt is not a signal to quit. It is a test to strengthen your resolve. You must remember that critics are not proof you are wrong. They are proof you are standing out. You must remember that progress is often invisible until it is suddenly undeniable. And you must remember that distractions are nothing but thieves of destiny. And when you anchor yourself again in these truths, you rise above the doubts, you silence the critics, you outlast the stagnation, and you keep moving, because purpose is not a sprint. It is a marathon, and a marathon requires endurance. And endurance comes from reminding yourself daily why you began and why you will not stop. And when you live like this, even your failures change meaning, because failure without purpose feels like death, but failure with purpose feels like feedback. Failure with purpose feels like learning. Failure without purpose feels like stepping stones on the path. And that makes you fearless, because you realize failure is not the enemy. Stagnation is failure, is not the end. Giving up is. And when you embrace this mindset, you become bolder, you take risks, you move forward, while others freeze, because you understand that every step, whether success or failure, is part of building a meaningful life. And as you keep walking this way, something extraordinary happens. You begin to experience peace, not the shallow peace that comes from avoiding problems, but the deep peace that comes from knowing you are aligned with your true path. And this peace becomes your shield in chaos. It becomes your calm in storms. It becomes your center when the world spins out of control. And from this peace flows strength, and from this strength flows resilience, and from this resilience flows influence, and all of it roots back to one thing: living with purpose. So ask yourself every single day, am I drifting or am I driving? Am I wasting or am I building? Am I numbing or am I awakening? Am I living someone else's script or am I writing my own? And if the answer today is not where you want it to be, then decide now to shift, because it is never too late to choose meaning. It is never too late to realign. It is never too late to rise. It is never too late to begin again. And when you make that choice, your entire life changes, not because circumstances magically transform overnight, but because you transform inside. And when you transform inside, you can handle any circumstance outside. And this is the secret of the strongest people. They do not wait for life to get easier. They get stronger. They do not wait for storms to stop. They learn to walk through rain. They do not wait for permission. They write their own. They do not wait for luck. Create opportunity. They do not wait for destiny. They forge it through purposeful living, and you can too if you refuse to drift, if you refuse to settle, if you refuse to let another day pass wasted. You can too if you wake up with fire and go to sleep with gratitude. And you can too if you decide that your life will matter, and that decision, that conviction, that commitment will separate you from the masses. Because while the masses waste their days, you will be building while they complain. You will be creating while they distract themselves. You will be focused while they remain restless. You will live with peace, and the world will see the difference, not because you shouted it, but because you embodied it. And embodiment always speaks louder than words, and this embodiment is the essence of living with purpose. When you choose to live with purpose and meaning, you stop merely existing and start truly living, because existing is drifting, but living is driving. Existing is waiting, but living is creating. Existing is surviving, but living is thriving. And the world is filled with people who are merely existing, sleepwalking through their days, repeating routines, waiting for weekends, chasing pleasures that vanish, and then wondering why they still feel empty. But you will not be one of them, because you know deep inside that life is too short to be wasted on meaningless distractions. You know that time is the most valuable currency, and once it is gone, it never comes back. So you choose to spend it intentionally. You choose to spend it building rather than wasting. You choose to spend it creating rather than consuming you. choose to spend it inspiring rather than envying. You choose to spend it with people who uplift rather than people who drain, because every choice either feeds your purpose or starves it, and you cannot afford to starve it. Not if you want your life to matter, not if you want your soul to burn with fire, not if you want to die empty, leaving nothing unlived and nothing undone, because living with purpose is not about waiting for the perfect moment, it is about creating it. It is not about finding the easy road, it is about forging the meaningful one. It is not about having a map, it is about walking even when you only see the next step. It is about refusing to settle for comfort when calling you higher. It is about sacrificing temporary pleasure for eternal significance. It is about saying no to distractions, even when they are loud, and yes to discipline, even when it is quiet. And when you live this way, you notice something incredible. Your energy increases, your passion deepens, your vision sharpens, and people begin to notice. They cannot explain why, but they feel your presence stronger. They see your consistency brighter. They hear your conviction louder, and it inspires them, because in a world full of noise, authenticity is rare. In a world full of drifting drivers are rare. In a world full of meaningless chatter, people who embody purpose are rare, and rare things always carry value. So your life becomes valuable, not because of titles, not because of possessions, not because of applause, but because of the impact you carry, the energy you radiate, the difference you make. And this impact cannot be measured in money alone. It is measured in lives touched, in souls awakened, in hearts inspired, in courage sparked. And the beauty is that you do not need to be famous to do this. You do not need a stage. You do not need a spotlight. You only need a commitment to live with meaning in your own corner of the world, and when you do, you will light fires that spread beyond what you will ever see. Now let us not lie to ourselves. Living this way is not free of pain. In fact, it often comes with more struggle, more resistance, more rejection, because the path of purpose is narrow, and not everyone understands it. People will laugh, people will doubt, people will mock, people will resist, because your courage exposes their fear. Your focus exposes their distractions. Your discipline exposes their laziness. Your faith exposes their doubt. And when people feel exposed, they often attack. But you cannot be shaken by their attacks, because their opinions do not define your mission. Their laughter does not cancel your vision. Their rejection does not end your calling. You keep going, because purpose is not dependent on applause. It is not dependent on agreement. It is not dependent on validation. It is dependent only on your commitment. And when you stay committed long enough, the same people who once doubted will one day respect. The same people who once laughed will one day admire. The same people who once mocked will one day follow, because consistency silences critics and results prove louder than words. But even if they never respect, even if they never admire, even if they never follow, it does not matter, because you were never living for them. You were living for the meaning that fuels you. You were living for the calling that burns in you. You were living for the impact that flows through you. And this is what separates those who drift from those who drive. This is what separates those who waste from those who build. This is what separates those who die full of regret from those who die empty, leaving their soul on the field of life. And when you understand this, you stop being afraid of death, because death is not the enemy wasted. Life is death, is not the tragedy unlived potential is. And when you live with meaning every day, you rob death of its sting, because even if you die young, you die complete. Even if you die broke, you die rich in impact. Even if you die unknown, you die significant to those who were touched by your fire. And that is the ultimate victory, because the grave is filled with unwritten books, unsung, unspoken words, unfulfilled dreams, unlived lives. But you will not be one of them, because you will die empty, having given everything. And this thought alone should wake you up with fire, because there is no guarantee of tomorrow. And that is not a reason to fear. It is a reason to live harder today, to love deeper today, to give stronger today, to build bolder today, because tomorrow is a rumor, but today is real. And when you honor today with purpose, your tomorrows take care of themselves. And the more you live this way, the freer you feel, because meaning frees you from comparison, from fear, from regret, from distraction. Meaning gives you wings to rise above the noise, to soar above the crowd, to move with power through storms. And when you live like this, even ordinary moments become extraordinary, because you bring presence to them. Even simple conversations become impactful, because you bring intention to them. Even small acts become legendary, because you do them with meaning, and people will wonder what your secret is. But it is no secret. It is simply that you refuse to live without purpose. You refuse to waste your breath. You refuse to drift through the gift of life. And so my challenge to you is this: stop waiting, stop doubting, stop delaying, stop drifting, stop settling, because the clock is ticking and your purpose is calling, and the world is waiting for what only you can bring. The world is waiting for the fire. Only you can light. The world is waiting for the vision. Only you can see. The world is waiting for the difference only you can make. And the tragedy would be to leave this earth without ever giving it. So decide now. Decide today. Decide in this moment that you will live with meaning and never go back. Decide that you will not just pass time. You will invest it. Decide that you will not just chase comfort. You will chase calling. Decide that you will not just talk about impact. You will embody it. Decide that you will not just dream, but you will do, because decisions shape destiny, and this decision will transform yours. And once you decide, stay consistent, stay relentless, stay disciplined, stay focused, because storms will come, doubts will come, critics will come, failures will come. But none of them can defeat a soul on fire. None of them can stop a heart that knows its why. None of them can derail a person anchored in purpose. And once you live this way, you will realize something powerful: that meaning was never something you had to search for outside. It was always within you, waiting for your courage to awaken it, waiting for your choices to align with it, waiting for your life to rise into it. And once you awaken it, there is no going back, because once the fire of purpose burns in you, you cannot return to drifting, you cannot return to wasting, you cannot return to meaningless distractions. You are forever changed, forever awakened, forever alive. And this aliveness is the ultimate gift, the ultimate power, the ultimate victory, because the masses may exist, live, and that makes all the difference.